AI is transforming how software testing works. But using AI tools is not the same as using them professionally. The ISTQB certified tester testing with generative AI certification defines the structured, internationally recognized standard for applying generative AI in testing. It validates your ability to engineer effective prompts, evaluate AI outputs, enhance automation, and integrate AI into real testing workflows. This is more than experimentation. It is professional competence. Stand out. Prove your expertise. Get certified in testing with generative AI.
Hello and welcome back to another session of A4Q Testing Summit. My name is Atefa Amlashi and I'm your host for this session. Here I have Richard Seidl with me. Richie is a software testing expert and agile coach, and he also has two famous podcasts in software quality, one in German, one in English. Richie is a keynote speaker in several famous international events, and I used to hear from him that testing is a people business. Now I'm wondering, in the age of AI, if it's still relevant or not. Thank you, Richie, joining us, and we are interested to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate. Hope I can now focus on my presentation here. Yeah, testing is a people business. I think that's so true for especially these days where we all talking about AI and this stuff. Yeah, as Atefa said, I'm 25 years now in software testing business. I did a lot of projects in different branches, in different areas of the whole industry. And for dealing with my traumata from my projects, I wrote 8 books to get some self-healing, and that was not enough. So I also started this 2 podcasts Atefa mentioned now, one in German, one in English, and the English one you find on the link tul.fm. So if you're interested in getting some insights from experts from around the world about software testing and software quality, so feel free to subscribe to the podcast and hear and see what others have to say about this interesting part of our testing life. Yeah, let's go into it. I wanted to start with a brief but incomplete history of testing. So a look at the last years of testing and where we are standing now, because I think it's always good to understand the past to see what we can do in the future, especially in this dynamic world we are now living. And therefore, I have such, I see all the time in companies and also in the big picture from the whole testing industry where we come from. When we start with testing, usually or a new project is started, it's more often that we do not really test. We have developers developing code, writing code, and quality is happening, or it's not really happening. It depends on more or less if someone is interested in or not, but it's more by accident, but by plan or by strategy. And it's totally okay if we start a new project and we get into software development, or if a company starts a new MVP or something like that. That's a good way. But I think more of that we are out of this era now, and we are in higher levels of the of dealing with software testing and software quality nowadays. After that, usually when you see it in startups, when they started with software development and have the first iterations of the software done, they began to that someone says, okay, I want to test. I want to see if it's really working what we are doing there. Or I have also had projects in my early time of my career where someone is forced to test. Usually the developer who writes not the best code was forced to be the tester. If we start in this way of testing, it's always very unstructured, more exploratory testing, dealing around, finding some bugs and get out there some value. But the focus is on bug finding and not really on building quality into software. Okay, I think that this part is also mainly gone from the most of you people there and in the projects. And when we see the whole history of testing about more than 20 years ago, some people sat together and said, okay, we have to professionalize software testing. We have to make it better. We have to deal with the role as a tester better. And it was the rise of the ISTQB, of the first foundation level syllabus, where we all have this glossary, these test methods, test strategies, all combined in a syllabus, in books, in literature, and testing becomes then measurable. So, and I think this is where a lot of companies are now there, where they write the test cases from mainly for higher levels of the testing process, like system testing or acceptance testing, and we have good test cases that we can test and can say, okay, does our software work? And it works very well in the first years, but also 20 years ago, 25 years now, we have another part of the software development rising up, and this was all this agile stuff. And agile was, I think, the first really, really big pain point for us as tester, because now the people say, okay, we have iterations, and iterations are about 2 weeks. We have to deliver every time a new software package, and you have to test in these 2 weeks all the regression testing and all this stuff. And we said, okay, as a tester, we cannot do it by hand. We have to put in the effort into automation. And I think this was the big rise and the big grow up for test automation tools. And now in the third, fourth generation of these test automation tools, we have a huge support from this automation stuff to get our quality inspected, measured, and our test cases done. We have to deal with the keyword and data-driven stuff. But when we look at companies, we still see that there is, especially in big companies, that this automation work is still an automation work for testers on a very high level, also on system and on acceptance testing. So it still remains that developer, they have to do their unit tests, it's for them, and the testers, they have to do their UI tests and end-to-end tests. I think this is when we see the last years where the whole world gets more dynamic and the projects get even more complex and complicated, this separation does not really help anymore. And I think really good performing team nowadays, I call them quality wizards, or you can call them quality engineering, is where all these quality attributes come together, where the developer with their testing stuff and also the testers with their mindset, with their critical thinking, when the business analyst with their views on quality and reviewing, when they come together and begin to build quality all over the software development process. And I think this big shift is nowadays happening for a lot of companies now, coming from the automation, but still the separation here to this all over software development, quality engineering stuff. Fortunately, because I like this situation very much, that we have this all over quality side, fortunately, the regulatory in the world, and especially in Europe, is also forcing us in this direction. It's what I write here by X by design. So we have to think about usability, about security, about accessibility, all this stuff by design. So we have to think about how can we build a secure software, how can we build accessible software. And so we have to start at the beginning with all this stuff and not just doing a pen test at the end of the whole software development lifecycle. Also, when I come to a company and I look at processes and all this, how can I see if they are already there doing quality engineering? And one very interesting point for me is how do they deal with test automation? Do they still see test automation just the UI path, or do they still see test automation at an automation part at every test level? And especially, do they talk about what they are doing there? So do people talk who are writing their unit tests and integration tests with people who are writing the test system automation, system test automation, or acceptance test automation? So if this is a synergy, if this is a combined work, I think you are nearly there to do quality engineering. And this all usually done in an integrated environment with CI/CD. So, and what happens with at this time is that usually when the people come together and testers work with developers and business analysts together on quality, the beginning it's not easy. They said, okay, tester, you can do the testing stuff, I do the development stuff. But with time, they get a real good quality attitude about the whole team, and this is, I think, what we want also with agile working, that everyone is really responsible for quality. And but it's hard work to come there. So usually when you say everyone is responsible, nobody is. So but when you work in this way months and years, then you get this attitude for the whole team, and I think high-performing teams nowadays are there. So I think this is where we are now. And before we come to the future and to the people part, I want to share with you some thoughts I have about AI and AI in software testing in a special way. The first one is what I really like with AI is what we see. It's that it democratizes the software development process. So in former times with other innovations, we always see that, and technical innovations always helps to democratize something in the world. So when we look at the internet, everybody has then access to information all over the world. It's not, we just don't have to rely on just the newspaper. We get at home and to the television, so we can change. We can set up where we get our information. With YouTube, when YouTube was innovated, and now there you can do your own radio station, your own TV station on the internet. With Airbnb, you had the opportunity to play your own hotel at home, and also this stuff. And with all the Web 2.0 stuff, a content creator, you become a blog writer, a creating person. And now with AI, so the last fortress is open. It is software development. So up to now, a software developer has the holy grail, and nobody was allowed to see from the outside what he's doing. And now with AI, everyone is capable of writing software. That's a very, very interesting thing, because now we are able to build a lot of more software, but we have to think about that the quality of the software is maybe questionable. So it's not always just the good part, but it's we have to deal with this, that people who were not able to write software up to now, they will do it in the future. So that's a fact, and we as testers, as quality people, we have to deal with this software, and there will be a lot of software. So we see it nowadays, all this new apps, new websites, new tools on the market. Everyone is able to write something, and but we also see in the news what's happening if the software is not working, because when you don't have any clue about software development, it's not easy for you to fix it if there is a real problem in there. The second one is I want to mention about AI is that with AI, we focus very much on the outcome and not on the process. So you prompt something in, then you wait, look out of the window, and then you have your outcome and you are happy. And you can use it in testing, especially when you see your requirements, your user stories, say, okay, write me some test cases, then you get some test cases. And maybe they are good, you can check them, can review them. But what you miss is the whole process of creating something. And this process is also a learning process. And especially in testing, when we look at testers up to now, when they get the first user story and the first requirement documents, and they read it and want to write some test cases for them, there you just read one paragraph, and then you have, I think, 5 to 10 questions you want to get answers to, because there is not really clear what it's meant. You have to, which software is meant, which system should be integrated there. So what usually happens is that you take your questions and run around the whole company, talking with business analysts, with UI experts, with the ops team, with support and so on, to get this information. And you learn a lot about this software, about this application you have to test. And I know a lot of testers who are, one of the key knowledge people in a software development team, because they need all this information to make good test cases. And I think there is a gap when we now use AI for all this stuff, not reflecting and not thinking about that we miss this learning about our software. And this is also where a little bit comes in the idea of it's still a people business, because when we think of agile stuff like BDD or Three Amigos or something, there's always the idea to get an overall view for all people what we wanted to build with this software. And when we just focus on AI outcome, we will miss that a lot. The next thing is that every innovation also brings up its opposite. And I see that a lot now in companies and on conferences too, that with all this focus on AI, which is a very technical part, everybody is looking at how can we deal with AI. There is a big need for people to talk to other people, to get in touch with other people, to discuss things. And so this human part, I think, is even more important, because we need that too. It's human to be human. And with all the focus on AI, it even gets more important to have this relationship, to have this discussion with other people there. And the fourth idea here, it's a little bit provocative, but a lot of companies are throwing AI on problems which they cannot solve with AI. And I think that's a repetition we had with Agile, we had with DevOps, we had with test automation and all the stuff and tools and frameworks, because a lot of those problems in our companies, in our projects, are people problems. They have conflicts, they have bad relationships and something like that. They cannot transform their business needs into technical specifications and this stuff. And it's mainly a people business there. And we are always trying to solve that with a technology part. And now AI will solve everything. And I don't believe it will be there. AI is a great support for us in the software development, but I don't think that all the problems will be solved by that. And I like a lot of managers think that it is now the holy grail, AI will solve everything, but I don't think so. So what I think, what's now on the plan for us in testing to deal with all the stuff is to build up a new skill, a new part of our role, growing up from the quality engineering more to one very, very, very important test goal we have. It's to building trust in our software. because when we look at the foundation level or some similar syllabus, we have at one goal for testing is not just finding bugs and all this stuff. It's also to building trust into software. And when we now get a lot of software which is AI generated, someone has to help to build trust into this software. And trust is also a very human people connecting things. So if people don't trust each other, I think it will not work. So trust building is a core discipline I think we have to deal as a tester in the future. So how can we come to that? And as I mentioned it in the topic for this speech, I think we have to focus on the human part. I think you all play a lot with AI and do the stuff, so do that. It's very important. I do it too, but I think we have to also look at the human part and focus what's in there for get more balance from the technology part to the human part for the next years to make good projects in the future. The first one is knowing the why. And that's very interesting because when I see now companies dealing with all the AI stuff, especially when they test AI, they say, have an interesting question there because they say, what is all quality for an AI system? And if you ask this question in a company who's dealing with AI, said, okay, we don't really know. Let's look into the test strategy in our test plan, in our master test plan, or what you have. And then they began to search for this because nobody knows where it is. And they look in their Confluence and their SharePoint, and then they find this good old test plan from the year 2010. And they said, okay, now we have it there. And they look in there, and there's a lot of blah, blah, and all this stuff about nobody cares because all are dealing with other stuff today. So we are coming back to have to look what's really in a test strategy that we can use in our daily testing business, what is really important and why are we doing all this stuff, and not just dealing with, again, a new test cases and a new tool and all this stuff. So I think to look into our projects this way, to say, okay, we as testers, we are the advocates for the user, for the end user, and to think about what is the story of this user. He's coming in the morning to his PC with his coffee, starting up the software and wants to use it. What is the story of how is this day working? What makes him happy and what frustrates him? And I think we have to look at this much more, because when I talk to some developers or testers, sometimes they don't know who are their users anyway. So I think we have to take a deep look into it. So one takeaway for you, just think about this question. When did you last sit with a real user and ask him, well, what frustrates you with our software? And do you really know who is the user? So I think that's a very important question to ask. The second one is, and this comes very much from all this AI-driven and on our processes on steroids now, is that we have to make decisions. So when we think in a good world, in a perfect world in the future, when AI and robots are doing all the stuff, all the work for us, we have to still do one very important thing, making decision in which direction we are going. And decision making is not easy, especially not in actual times when it's not easy to have an idea which is not really aligned with other people, and you have to discuss all the stuff and you want to avoid frustration and all this stuff. But I think we have to come in there and have to think about a lot in testing there too, because we will have a lot of opportunities to test in the future, and we have to prioritize very hard where we put our effort into testing, and also to sharpen our critical thinking about our software. Is this really important what we are doing there? Can we get rid of that? Can we put away our automated generated test automation stuff and replace it with something better and all this stuff? They're always hard questions and hard decisions, but I think we have to repeat them every day, every hour, to rethink our processes. But if you have a very good tool to learn and to make these decisions is about retrospectives, where we really looking into the past and see, okay, what have we done, and is it good or is it bad, and then decide what we can do better. And so I would love when you take this idea with you, maybe you think about as a team or for yourself, which decision you are quietly avoiding in your daily work. So maybe you're just like automating the stuff because you like this scripting and all this capture replaying, but not really asking if this test automation you are building there is really valuable for the project. So maybe there is some decisions you are avoiding. Just think about that. The next part, I think we have to deal a lot in the next days and years is to think about me, myself, and I. Not think about me, but think about yourself. And it's what I would put in the part of personal development, to think about what are really your values, what are your beliefs, how can you build up a resilience in all this chaotic, crazy world we are living. And now you can say, okay, this is all stuff. Why should I care of that? I'm just a tester. But especially, as I said before, as a tester, you are a connection between a lot of people there. So you have to deal with the people with their beliefs and all the stuff. And so you have a good resilience for yourself, and you have a good self-awareness for yourself to deal with all this in the future. I think the times will not get even more comfortable. I think it will be more rough in the next months and years. So I think that's a good skill to invest. And also to be more proactive in this area, because it is here written as less me. It's in Germany, we always have a very look on the bad side of life. So it's a lot of me. It's all the bad, the weather is bad, coffee smells not good, it's cold, and the soup is not hot, and everything like that. So what can you do to overcome this and to get more proactive into a solution together with the other people? And if you hear some people complaining, go there and say, okay, what can we do about that? What can we make better? And one takeaway for you there is for me that the question, which belief in your role are holding you back? And I think this is a very interesting question for us as testers, because I see often meetings where I sit there and the developers discussing with architecture and with business analysts, and I know that the testers have a lot of valuable things to say, but they don't say it in the meeting. And afterwards, they are not really happy, but they don't have this confidence to really stand up and say what they have to say. And when I work with them, usually there are some beliefs behind it, that there is a status between the divas of software development, and I'm just a poor small tester there. So think about that. What is how do you define your role and your beliefs in that role? I think that can really help you to get into more clarity for the future. And yeah, you are not alone with yourself. There are also others, a lot of others around us. And I think we have also to recreate and to repair a lot of relations there. And to build more trust to other people, because in the end, it's the other people who will stay there in our projects. And I think we have to look at this too. When we think of testing, we have a lot of stakeholders, as I mentioned, and they have all different needs. They have different ideas on what testing and quality means, and to communicate with them, to get their information, to have some empathy for them, to a developer who has a full day and don't want to see our 17 bug issues now on this day too, or to ops team who's dealing a lot with infrastructure problems, maybe, or something like that. Just to be more empathic and to deal with this stuff and to help the people. And it's a little bit like a coaching on the job. Now you can also say, okay, I'm not a coach, I'm a tester. But as said, you as a tester are a communicator, you are an influencer in the whole company and in the whole project. So it's, I think, very important to also step into that role sometimes and help other people and to make a better team atmosphere there too. So maybe you want to think about this question, who in your organization needs to hear what you already know. Sometimes you hold back something, not consciousness, but unconscious, and just go to him and her and share the information and help other people understand what you are doing and what are maybe risks you see and what are ideas you have, and share this with the other people. And the last one is, I think, we as testers and quality people, we can be very proud of our profession, of our skills, of our things we do the whole day. And also, I think, very, very important part for people when they work together is to have fun, to have really fun at work in their project. And I think this is also a part, not just we as a testers have to look at, but the whole software team, the whole project team you are in can have more fun and have more fun to work together. Because we testers, we have the coolest job. It's a dance between the end of the world and the release party, between chaos and confetti. And I hope you enjoy your job as much as I do mine. And yeah, I hope you also enjoyed these ideas I shared with you. And if you have any questions, just get in touch with me and we can talk about that. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Richie, for this insightful session. Thank you for this insightful session. It was a great reminder that while tools, automation, and AI evolving, quality still starts with people.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see we have some questions here. Okay. You mentioned quality is a team attitude, but our management still measures us on test cases and bug counts. How do you usually start that conversation with the leadership?
Yeah, it's that's always. I think managers need one very simple solution. So they want to measure something which they can measure very, very, very easy. And bugs and test cases you can measure very, very, very easy. But I think when we see the slides today, the world is now so complex that these easy solutions won't work anymore. So when I come to the management, and I think the first idea we have to plant into their minds is that testing is not about test cases and bugs, it's about avoiding risk in the future. And if you say to the manager, do you sleep well when nobody's testing here? I think they begin to think about, okay, there is something we have to do about the quality attitude about for the whole team. Yeah, and that's the first step, to think about the risks, to talk about the risks, and that's not a part of the testing part, but also of the developer and the others. And then you have the attitude part.
Okay, thank you. And the next question that said that, okay, AI is changing a lot of things. Half of people, they are excited about these changes, and half of them, they are worried about their job. And you mentioned about the necessity of the human reorientation, but how and what we should do?
Yeah, I think that's one part of this empathy thing. I see a lot of teams where people are are really scared what's happening now. Do I have a job tomorrow? What is with all this crisis all over the world? Now we just had one pandemic. Now we have this economic crisis everywhere. So the people are scared and are overwhelmed and frustrated a lot. And I think one thing helps a lot in this situation. This is to talk about this stuff. And if it's at lunch or at the coffee time or some other things, just to talk about what's on your mind on these things. Not in a way blaming about everything, but what do you really feel about these things? And this is the first step to build up more trust, more empathy, and then to build a better team who can support each other.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. It's a good advice. I'm an ISTQB certified tester, and I see all of this human stuff are sitting kind of outside of ISTQB syllabus. Do you teach ISTQB material with this human angle, or is a separate course?
I think it can be very well combined into the ISTQB world. Sure, the syllabus is very on a part where we have to deal with the test levels, with test methods, all this stuff, with a lot of keywords we have to learn. But when you do a training or something like that, there's always a way to put in more the people business too, to help people to understand, to give them some methods how to think about others in the team, how to communicate. So I always love to combine these things because I think technical and human parts, so they have to join.
Agree with you. Yes, technology can support the process, but collaboration, communication, and human connection are what truly make difference here. If you like Richie's presentation, please scan the QR code and vote for Richie for the best speakers and best talk. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us, and enjoy the rest of Testing Summit. Still, we have other stream in French and German, and also ISTQB dedicated stream in this summit. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Generative AI is transforming how software testing works. But using AI tools is not the same as using them professionally. The ISTQB Certified Tester Testing with Generative AI certification defines the structured, internationally recognized standard for applying generative AI in testing. It validates your ability to engineer effective prompts, evaluate AI outputs, enhance automation, and integrate AI into real testing workflows. This is more than experimentation. It is professional competence. Stand out. Prove your expertise. Get certified in testing with generative AI.